welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. Now, quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365, Star Times channel 276, and Free TV. Now the news in full. The Abuja Division of the Court of Appeal has upheld a federal high court judgment restraining the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) from recognizing or participating in any state congresses organized by committees appointed by the Senator David Mark-led caretaker leadership of the African Democratic Congress (ADC). Delivering the lead judgment, Justice Okon Abang held that there was no basis to set aside the April 29th ruling of the Federal High Court, which barred the caretaker leadership from interfering with the tenure and functions of the party's elected state executives. The appellate court affirmed that the responsibility of organizing and conducting state congresses rests with duly elected state executive committees, not the party's national caretaker leadership. In a majority decision, Justice Okon Abang and Donatus Okorowo upheld the restraining order against INEC's recognition of congresses conducted by the David Mark-led caretaker committee, while the presiding Justice Abba Mohammed delivered a dissenting judgment. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission has flagged off a mega continuous voters registration center in Abuja to improve access to voter registration ahead of the 2027 general elections. Let's go on a very quick break.
Glad to have you join us. We observed active weather systems in several parts of the country in the past 24 hours. Heading into Tuesday, the weather is expected to be even more active as heavy rains are expected during the early hours of the morning in the coastal parts of the country. Residents in the coastal parts of Lagos, Ogun, Ondo, Edo, and Delta states should prepare to take necessary precaution as potential of flash floods are expected. The north and north-central region are expected to experience morning thunderstorms.
Welcome back from that very short break. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission has flagged off a mega continuous voter registration center in Abuja to improve access to voter registration ahead of the 2027 general elections. The 2 weeks exercise, supported by Yaga Africa and European Union, is expected to reduce congestion at registration centers and encourage more eligible Nigerians in the Federal Capital Territory to obtain or update their voter records. Sadia Yakubu reports.
With preparations gathering momentum ahead of the 2027 general elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has opened a mega continuous voter registration center at the Old Parade Ground in Area 10, Gariki, Abuja. Flagging off the exercise, INEC National Commissioner supervising the FCT Muhammad Haruna said the center was established to improve access to voter registration, reduce congestion at existing centers, and provide more eligible Nigerians with the opportunity to register or update their voter records before the 2027 general elections.
It's important to note that this third and final phase of the continuous voters registration exercise is of great significance to residents of the Federal Capital Territory.
Head of Voter Education and Publicity, INEC FCT, Samuel Bassi, said the Commission expects a high turnout at the center and urge Nigerians to take advantage of the newly introduced self-service voter registration platform, while calling on the media to help create more awareness about the innovation.
Accumulation of anticipated high turnout of prospective registrants for this exercise, and that's the reason this center was created in the first place.
Program Officer at Yaga Africa, Yetunde Bakare, said the organization's partnership with INEC, supported by the European Union, aimed at expanding access to voter registration by increasing registration points and encouraging more Nigerians to complete the process ahead of the elections.
what we're doing here is providing INEC with necessary support to ensure that access is provided for Nigerians who want to register for their permanent voters card. There have been some restrictions perhaps in some centers due to the large number of people who want to register. So this mega center has more registration points to allow more people register, come in quickly and register.
Some prospective eligible voters who visited the center expressed satisfaction with the registration process, describing it as fast and convenient.
Okay, yeah, so a free and fair election, and if possible, my voter's card on or before January, at least, so that I can exercise my right as a voter.
As the countdown to 2027 general elections continues, INEC says the success of the exercise will depend on eligible Nigerians taking advantage of their registration window, insisting that only registered voters will be able to participate in choosing the country's next set of leaders. Satya Yakubu, Global TV News.
Kano State Governor Abba Yusuf has formally announced Deputy Governor Murtala Garo as his running mate for the 2027 governorship election. The governor made the declaration during a strategic meeting with federal political appointees of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the Kano Governor's Lodge in Abuja. Now, according to a statement issued by the governor's spokesperson, Sanusi Dawakin Tofa, the decision was based on Garo's performance, loyalty, and commitment since assuming office. Yusuf said they remained satisfied with his choice of deputy governor, expressing confidence in Garo's ability to continue supporting the administration's objectives. As part of effort to strengthen security in Nigeria and the Federal Capital Territory, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has flagged off the construction of Access Road from Tunga Madaki to Zuba in the FCT. The project is aimed at improving connectivity, enhancing security operations, and opening up satellite communities for greater economic development. Kabir Hassan reports.
Represented by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, President Tinubu said the road will reduce travel time, improve access for residents and security agencies, and stimulate economic activities in the area. He noted that infrastructure development remains a key pillar of the Renewed Hope agenda, describing road as critical to national growth, security, and prosperity.
This new road will link Tunga Madaki directly to the Abuja-Kaduna road, cutting travel time, reducing vehicle maintenance costs, and opening a faster route for people and goods. It will connect rural productivity to urban opportunities.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, said the project reflects President Tinubu's commitment to ensuring that the satellite communities receive the same level of development as the city center. He assured residents that the administration will continue to deliver critical infrastructure across the territory.
Bring the directive of Mr. President that all communities, all satellite towns must be linked up to the city.
The access road is expected to improve mobility, support security operations, and accelerate the socio-economic development of communities along Tunga Madaki-Zuba corridor as the federal government continues to expand infrastructure across the Federal Capital Territory. Kabir Hassan, Global TV News.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has ordered the enrollment of all Nigerians into National Identity Management Commission (NIMC) database by the end of 2026. This was made known by the Commission's Director General Abisoye Koka Odusote while speaking on a television program. Koka Odusote noted that the Commission has in total captured over 137 million Nigerians in its database. Moving on now, the federal government has expanded financial support for cancer patients through and targeted health funds and insurance initiative while ramping up investments in local research, drug production, and clinical trials to improve access to affordable cancer-free. The Director General of the National Institute for Cancer Research and Treatment, Professor Usman Malami, disclosed this at the Best of African Society of Clinical Oncology Africa 2026 conference held in Abuja. Malami said the federal government had introduced several interventions to reduce the financial burden of cancer treatment. acknowledging that the cost of care remained beyond reach for many Nigerians. The federal government has approved a take-off workforce of 1,200 staff for the newly established Federal University of Technology Akure Futa Teaching Hospital in Ondo State, marking a major milestone in the transition of the faculty from state to federal ownership. The Chief Medical Director of the hospital, Professor Olusegun Ojo, disclosed this during a briefing with journalists in Akure, the state capital. Ojo explained that the approval followed a rigorous verification process involving officials from the Federal Ministry of Health, the Office of Head of Civil Service of the Federation, Office of the Accountant General, and the Federal Ministry of Finance. The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to tackling youth unemployment through skill acquisition as it commenced capacity building for training service providers under the third cohort of the Innovation, Development and Effectiveness in the Acquisition of Skills, otherwise known as IDEAS TVET initiative. The Deputy Director, Technology and Science Department, Ministry of Education, Blessing Ogu, made known at a capacity building workshop in Abuja. Global Television Priscilla Obasi brings us details in our subsequent bulletins. The federal government has suspended the proposed review of registration fees for the 2027 West African Senior School Certificate Examination and the National Examinations Council Senior School Certificate Examination, pending wider consultations with stakeholders. A statement issued by the Federal Ministry of Education, the ministry said the letter conveying the proposed fee adjustment dated June 18, 2026 had been withdrawn to allow for a comprehensive review before any final decision is taken. The ministry, in a release signed by the Director of Press and Public Relations, Borawo Folashade, said the suspension followed concerns and feedback from members of the public. Nigerian Union of Teachers (NUT) has called for the arrest and persecution of all those responsible for attacks and kidnappings in schools across Nigeria. The National President of Nigerian Union of Teachers (NUT), Audu Ambas, made the call at a press conference in Abuja following the release of teachers and pupils abducted by schools in Orire local government area of Oyo State after 56 days in captivity. Global Television's Priscilla Obasi reports.
Addressing journalists in Abuja, National President of the Nigeria Union of Teachers, Audu Amba, called for the immediate arrest and prosecution of all those responsible for attacks on schools, insisting that the perpetrators must face justice to serve as a deterrent. Amba said the release of the abducted teachers and pupils from the Orire local government area of Oyo State should not bring an end to efforts to secure schools, noting that other teachers and learners abducted from schools in parts of the country, including Borno State, are still in captivity. While commending the federal government, the Oyo State government and security agencies for securing the victims' freedom after 56 days, he described the killing of 2 teachers during the abduction as a tragic reminder of the dangers educators continue to face.
The AUT profoundly commends the federal government, the Oyo State government, the security agency, community leaders, and all well-meaning individuals and organizations whose collective efforts contributed to the successful rescue of the abductees. The NUT cannot forget the 2 teachers who were brutally murdered by the terrorists. The union extends its deepest condolence to the bereaved family, colleagues, and the entire education community in Oyo State.
The NUT president also called for renewed commitment to Safe Schools initiative, urging governments at all levels to strengthen security around schools, improve intelligence gathering, and provide psychosocial support for victims and their families.
The suffering endured by the abducted teachers, learners, and their families underscore the horrible effects of insecurity and the bleak future that awaits the nation if these senseless attacks on education are allowed to continue.
Audu warned that continued attacks on schools are disrupting learning, discouraging enrollment, and threatening access to education, particularly in conflict-affected communities. The union maintained that every child deserves to learn in a safe environment and every teacher deserves adequate protection, stressing that ending attacks on schools remain essential to safeguarding Nigeria's education system. Priscilla Obasi, Global Television News.
The Sultanate Council of Sokoto has called on Muslims across Nigeria to look out for the new moon of Safar 144.8 after Hijra on Tuesday, July 14th, 2026, corresponding to the 29th day of Muharram 144.8 after Hijra. The appeal was contained in a statement and signed by the chairman of the Advisory Committee on Religious Affairs Sultanate Council, Professor Sambo Wali Jonadu. According to the statement, Muslims who sight the new moon are requested to promptly report the sighting to the nearest district head or village head for onward communication to the Sultan of Sokoto and President General of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, His Eminence Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar. You are watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. News Cycle continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Glad to have you join us. We observed active weather systems in several parts of the country in the past 24 hours. Heading into Tuesday, the weather is expected to be even more active as heavy rains are expected during the early hours of the morning in the coastal parts of the country. Residents in the coastal parts of Lagos, Ogun, Ondo, Edo, and Delta states should prepare to take necessary precaution as potential of flash floods are expected. The north and north-central region are expected to experience morning thunderstorms with more storm likelihood going into the afternoon and evening hours. Meanwhile, the southern parts of the country will experience moderate rains. That's the forecast. Stay weather ready and keep your umbrellas handy. Up next is the temperature forecast. I am Theodora Itu. Thank you for watching.
You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is News Cycle on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. In business now, the federal government has raised 5.08 trillion naira from the domestic bond market in the first half of 2026, representing a 77.8% increase from 2.86 trillion naira raised during the same period in 2025. Data from the Debt Management Office, DMO, showed that strong investor demand drove the increase, with total subscriptions exceeding 9 trillion naira between January and June, despite a decline in borrowing costs as average marginal rates eased compared with last year. The DMO also expanded its domestic borrowing program during the period, offering 4.95 trillion naira worth of bonds to investors, up from 1.85 trillion naira in the corresponding period of 2026, reflecting a more aggressive funding strategy. The Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Bayo Ojulari, has reaffirmed the company's commitment to repositioning itself beyond oil and gas production, saying it is evolving into a platform that connects investments, technology, policy, and talent to drive sustainable energy development in Nigeria and across Africa. Ojulari stated this in a statement while reflecting on the company's participation at the 2026 Nigeria Oil and Gas Energy Week, where the company showcased its strategy for strengthening partnerships and advancing the continent's energy sector. Now, according to Ojulari, the new direction will shape the company's approach to partnerships and investment across energy value chain. The Nigerian Naira has experienced a demanding week at the official foreign exchange window, extending its losses to close to its weakest weekly level against the United States dollar, despite recent regulatory interventions by the Central Bank of Nigeria. According to official data released by the CBN, the local currency closed the trading week at 1,381.70 naira per dollar, marking a 0.85% week-on-week depreciation, representing a 11.70 naira drop compared to the 1,370 naira per dollar closing rate recorded the previous Friday, 3rd July. The local currency faced persistent pressure from market forces, closing lower on 4 of the 5 available trading days. The week started with a marginal slip on Monday, 6 July, as the naira fell by 1 naira to close at 1,371 naira to a dollar. On the foreign scene, the President of the European Union, Ursula von der Leyen, has called for age-appropriate restrictions on social media platforms as part of efforts to better protect children online. Speaking in Brussels while presenting an expert report on child online safety, she said the European Union is considering phased access to digital platforms based on age before presenting formal proposals after the summer. Mukhtar Qasim tells us more.
The European Union is stepping up efforts to strengthen online safety for children amidst growing concerns over the impact of social media on their mental health and development. Presenting a new expert report in Brussels, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said childhood should be protected from harmful digital experiences, warning that algorithms should not shape children's identities before they have the opportunity to develop naturally.
Childhood is a period of extraordinary and delicate brain development. And during this stage, our children need time in the real world, time to play, time to build friendships face to face, time to make mistakes, time to shape their own identity, their own personality, before an algorithm shapes them instead.
Von der Leyen said evidence shows that the greatest risk comes from social media platforms and other services online with addictive and age-inappropriate features, stressing that the EU is considering phased and gradual access to such platforms for different age groups. She added that the recommendations were informed by consultations with parents, educators, experts, young people, and international partners, including Australia, noting that the European Commission will study the report before presenting legislative proposal after the summer.
If we want to protect childhood, we need to start where the risks are greatest. We need first to consider the type of platforms that are harmful to our children. And the evidence shows that this is mainly social media platforms, but also other providers with age-inappropriate and addictive features.
The proposed measures form part of the European Union's broader efforts to create a safer digital environment for children while balancing online access with stronger protections against harmful content and addictive platform features. Mukhtar Qasim, Global TV News.
A rare genetic skin disorder is making Spain's increasingly intense summer heat even more dangerous for some residents. Some citizens living with the lifelong condition say every heat wave brings a constant fear of suffering potentially fatal heat stroke. Mukhtar Qasim tells us more.
For most people, summer means finding ways to stay cool. But for 36-year-old Alberto Gomez, every hot day becomes a medical emergency. The Spanish teacher lives with ichthyosis, a rare inherited skin disorder that prevents his body from sweating normally, making it difficult to regulate temperature during extreme heat. As Spain experiences longer and more intense heat waves, Gomez must constantly monitor his condition to avoid overheating and the risk of life-threatening heat stroke. The disorder leaves the skin dry, rough, and prone to peeling, while many patients develop painful sores and blisters that require daily treatment. Medical experts say sweating is the body's natural cooling system, and without it, excessive heat can overwhelm the body, causing severe complications or even death. Although there is no cure, patients manage the condition through constant skin care, regular moisturizing, and avoiding prolonged exposure to high temperatures. To cope with the summer heat, Gomez carries a UV blocking umbrella wherever he goes and only exercises inside an air-conditioned gym. Families of other patients say even routine activities such as attending school or visiting a swimming pool requires careful planning to prevent dangerous overheating. For people living with the condition, surviving the summer depends on constant vigilance, reminding them that ordinary sunshine can quickly become a life-threatening challenge. Mukhtar Qasim, Global TV News.
In sports news, now the local organizing committee of the maiden National Intermediate Games has unveiled the official logo and mascot of the event, marking another milestone in preparations for the Youth Sports Festival scheduled to hold in Lagos from October 1st to 15th. Chairman of the committee and Deputy Chief of Staff to the Lagos State Governor, Sam Egumbe, led the unveiling alongside the committee co-chairman, as well as members of the main organizing committee and the LOC. The Games logo incorporates key elements representing the diversity of Lagos and the vibrancy of the competition. Its features include the Ayo cap, Ompambata, the Echo inscription, colorful swirls, and the 3 ascending stars. The event's official mascot was also unveiled and named Las Giddy. The Nigerian Table Tennis Federation has unveiled a squad for a series of continental and regional tournaments with teams set to compete in Ghana and Guinea later this month. In a list released over the weekend, the Federation confirmed Habib Adebayo, Emanuela Shaibu, and Elizabeth Emenike would fly Nigerian's flag at the 2026 African Hopes Week and Challenges scheduled for July 13 to 18th in Accra. Meanwhile, Matthew Kuti will captain Nigerian's quartet to the Western Region Championship in Guinea, joined by Abdul Basit Abdul Fatai, Fumilaya Ojo, and Khadijat Okunlaon. The Nigerian Football Federation Executive Committee has applauded the federal government and the National Sports Commission for the intervention and provided to the Nigerian Premier Football League, describing the initiative as a major boost to the league's commercial growth. The Federation, however, appealed for similar support to be extended to the Nigerian Women Football League, the Nigerian National League, and the Nationwide League One. The Executive Committee of the Nigerian Football Federation also reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening the country's football structure after taking several key decisions at its meeting in Asaba, Delta State. And that's it on News Cycle. Here's a quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365, Start Times channel 276, and Free TV. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using @GlobalTVNG. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching.